What's up, everybody? Welcome to Human Innovation Tarot. My name is Eddie with Imagine Life Development Center, and this is just an off-the-cuff reading. Just to hop on and see what the divine wanted to say to all you guys. What do you guys need to know right now? What will help you guys move the needle in your life? What will help you guys make progress, get to where you want to go, get unstuck, manifest the things, whatever the divine wants to say. So this is kind of unscripted, an unscripted read. I don't really have there's not really necessarily a theme. I'm just kind of opening up the channel, so to speak, and just going to let the divine say whatever it wants to say. And I'm just here to be a messenger for whatever the divine wants to say. So what do we need to know? What does the collective need to know right now? Start out. We have pause. We have stuck. So those two cards together, right out of the gate, are letting me know that many of you guys are in probably, it's like, I would say this is like hangman energy. So if we were, if we were using tarot terms, these two cards right here would be the hangman energy. Pause, essentially, delays, or maybe things don't feel like they're really progressing right now. And then stuck. So obviously stuck means stuck. So, the feeling that things are definitely not progressing, or you're not seeing the results that you want to see right now in your life. Now, one other energy attached to pause is there are certain things in your life that the divine might be asking you to put on hold, like intentionally. Whereas stuck is essentially involuntary, right? It's like, stuck is like things aren't progressing in our life when we want them to be progressing in our life, or we're not seeing growth, we're not seeing progress in all of that, which is a different energy. So, and I'm gonna use some other cards to kind of clarify the energy. The next card over, we obviously have the synchronicities card here, and synchronicity is basically the divine essentially trying to speak to you all through music, signs, numbers, dreams, random encounters, random events, people, all different ways that synchronicity show up in our lives, where the divine is trying to tell us, to get our attention, saying, hey, yeah, I know that you're stuck, and I know that maybe things are on pause for you right now, or maybe, a combination of both here. And so the divine is always trying to get our attention, or to bring awareness, or help us to raise our awareness, right? So that we can understand what the divine is trying to say to us. We can recognize, the messages that are being spoken to us. So we become curious and go search for the answer. So that's really what a synchronicity is. A synchronicity is essentially the divine trying to get our attention, to make us curious about going to look for an answer, so that, or to maybe, open our mind to a different way of thinking, or a different possibility, or maybe open our mind to a different way of behaving, or being, or existing, and all these types of things, right? So that we can actually experience the type of change and get the type of results that we're after here. For a lot of you, obviously, you're dealing with love and relationships. We have illumination here, and then we have destruction here. At the bottom of the deck, we have conflict. So the theme of the month, and this came out in a reading that I just did in the March newsletter. So if you haven't seen the March newsletter reading or video that I posted, I essentially asked, it's a little bit towards the end of that video, but I asked the divine, I said, what do you want to talk about? I had two points that were the two topics that were given to me before I recorded the video, and then I pulled a couple of cards from this deck actually, and the divine wanted to talk about relationships because the love card came out. And I was like, okay, so the divine actually wants to talk about love this month. So there's an emphasis on love and relationships this month. So destruction is here though, and we have conflict at the bottom of the deck. Underneath that, we have recovery. So, and this all ties back into a lot of the information that I've shared in regards to the theme of this year. We're in a 9 universal year, and the number 9 in numerology is all about endings, closing out a cycle, closing out a whole cycle of life so that we can go into a new season of life, right? As we move forward into, as we'll eventually move into or towards 2026. And so this year, and again, for those of you who might be new to the channel and haven't seen the video, and I know I've said this about probably a million times, and I'll probably say it a million more times between now and June or July, the most important video that I have recorded that I will have updated between now and June or July, by far the most important video that everybody should go watch, is a video on my playlist called The Universal Year 9, Part 1 and Part 2. Those two videos explain the importantness, or dare I say, how critical, the criticalness, I know that's not a word, but how critical it is, how critically important rather it is for us to understand this specific 9-year cycle, right? So every 9 years, we start, a cycle. So we're going to go through a 1 year, a 2 year. And when I say 1, 2, 3, I'm talking about numerology. I'm saying each year there's a collective energy. There's a theme to that energy. So 2025, when you add up 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, it equals 9. So we're in a 9 universal year. And then it starts the cycle all over again, right? So 2026, that's how we get to 1. 2027 will be in a 2 year. 2028 will be in a 3 year, and on it goes. But not all cycles are equal. All right. And so again, I don't want to spend time re-explaining all of that here in this video, because I explain it in the video that I'm referring to. But it's important for us to continue to go back and watch it to remind ourselves that the further into the year we go, the more intense energies will become. And as I mentioned in the March newsletter, the month of March is essentially the beginning of the 2025 9 energy. Okay. So in other words, even though, yes, technically on the calendar, it's been 2025 for 2 months now, but that was not just because January 1st was the calendar beginning of 2025 does not mean it was the energetic beginning of 2025. So March is really the beginning of the energy of 2025. So this month, we're going to start actually seeing and feeling the energy of 2025. So this month will give us will be the first taste, so to speak, of what this year is going to bring us. And again, as we continue to move forward this year, we're going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the energy, and we're going to be able to, the things that are going to unfold this year will start to unfold as the year goes on. And the reason it's so important to know this is because we're all going to go through kind of like a filtration process. Everybody, the whole world, every single human being that's alive is going to go through this universal filtration process. And because 9 is about endings, essentially we're all being called to essentially do one of two things. We're going to be given the opportunity to take responsibility for, removing the things that are no longer serving us in our life, making the required adjustments and changes and transitioning, and basically taking responsibility for our lives, cleaning up our lives, and basically aligning, making our lives purposefully aligned to the energy that we're in, or another analogy would be like when you're on a river, that's got a strong current, you want to go with the flow naturally. That makes more sense. But if you try to swim up against the current, you're trying to go, you're resisting, and that's not going to work, right? Like you're going to wear yourself out. That's just, obviously that's defeating the purpose. And so for those who resist or swim against the current of the energy of 2025, uh, it's not going to go very well. Or for those who are, none the wiser. In other words, you're the people who, um, who just aren't paying attention, or they're trying to be, they're ignorant or something, right? Like people who are lazy, or they're checked out. They're not paying attention. It's like, well, the universe, the laws that control, what happens to us energetically don't care. They don't care if you're aware or if you're not aware. They don't, that. And when I say they, I'm not talking about an entity or a person per se. It's like gravity, or better yet, it's like a season. Winter is just winter. Winter comes, winter goes. Summer comes, summer goes. Spring, fall, all the seasons, they come and they go. And you either understand when the seasons are coming and you plan for the seasons, or the seasons show up and then you're just caught with your pants down, so to speak. It's like, oh crap, it's winter. And I wasn't ready for winter yet, or I wasn't ready for summer. I wasn't ready. It's like, it's that kind of mentality. So what we need to understand is that if we're not ready, we're not prepared, and we're not doing our part, then essentially the season that we're going to go through is going to have an effect on you one way or the other. But this is basically going to be a very intense season, so to speak. So the energy of either, you can take control of your life and you can align yourself to the energy, and things will be a hell of a lot smoother and easier for you this year, or you can ignore it. You can just go about your life, keep doing the same things, and basically your life will be, shaken up. The filtration of the energy of this year will do it for you, right? So basically no one's getting out of this energy free and clear. Everybody is going to go through this energy. And so, and myself included. So, it's kind of just, we can do it the hard way, or we can do it the easy way. And the hard way is doing it absent, ignorant, checked out, and, just like, just going through life unaware, unconscious. The better way is to do it consciously and saying, okay, well, I don't want some unexpected shit to blow up in my life because I wasn't being, consciously aware. And all of a sudden, things are starting to be, things are being taken out of my life. I'm losing things, or, I start having all these crises, or, I'm going through, it seems like this tumultuous, all these events or tower moments, and, just unexpected, unforeseen things that are happening to me left and right. And it's possible for some people because there's two groups of people this year. And I talked about this in the other readings as well, where this year for some people, this will be perhaps one of the best years of your life if you're doing the work and you're staying aligned. Or if you're not, then this could potentially be literally one of the worst years of your life. And when I say of your life, I mean for literally the entirety of your life. Some people 20, 30 years down the road, they'll look back and say 2025 was the best year of my life. It was the year that everything changed for me. Other people are going to look back and go, 2025 was the absolute worst year of my life, period. Hands down, worst year of my life. And so this year is kind of like, it's a milestone year historically, because things are shifting in major, major ways. And that doesn't happen every cycle. Not every cycle is a major turning point cycle. in the grand scheme of humanity and consciousness and all these things. Well, 2025 is kind of like an intersecting point across many, many major events in the human story, basically. And that's not me just saying this, by the way. This is, everybody's saying it. People in astrology are saying it. The other channelers and psychic people and the whoever's, like, they're all saying the same stuff, and this isn't me regurgitating their stuff because I don't really follow a lot of other people in that regard. I mean, but if you just do a search on YouTube, you can just look at the title, right? And see just from different, looking online for different videos and different things, you can see just from the title that people are picking up on this stuff without even having to go and listen to it per se. So, so that brings me back to this destruction energy, because anything in your life, especially relationships, because that's, the theme that the divine wants to talk to us about this month, it seems. Any type of toxic relationship and this conflict energy is really just a placeholder for that energy. This right here is a 5 of Swords and a 5 of Wands energy. It's just toxic energy across the board. It's energy that does not play nice together. Okay, I know this card says conflict, but it's actually bigger than that. And so conflict can be lots of different things. Trauma bonds, toxic relationships, anything unhealthy, old patterns, old habits, not a lack of willingness or an unwillingness rather to change oneself because of ego or pride or stubbornness or even laziness or mediocrity or complacency, right? Like, I don't need to change. I'm not going to work on myself or my personal growth, my personal development or anything. I'm just going to stay the same. I'm going to keep doing the same thing, and I'm going to keep living the same way. And I'm going to just keep going around the mountain and going through the same patterns and all the things. Like, there was a time where that was, being allowed, energetically speaking. Like, there was a time where, kind of this energy that we've been in collectively was allowed. And if you look even across just the political landscape and even just the world landscape, there are moments of time where chaos and disagreement, and you'll see these periods where an energy, it starts to take a form, and it's there for all. Like, you can go back to 2020, right? During the pandemic, there was a period of time where that energy was allowed to was allowed to kind of run free across the entire world, and we had to deal with that. We had to deal with all of it, not just the effects of the virus itself, but the political landscape of it all, the opinions that people had about it, the reaction, all of it, not just the event itself, but the ripple effect, the side effects, all of it. When you look at the entirety of it, it's so much bigger than the actual event itself. Right? Because I remember when I got COVID, and it's like, okay, it was like, getting the flu, and I had it for 2 weeks. It was like I had a really bad, kind of like the first week, which was just like having a really bad flu. And then I felt like I was bouncing back. And then it was like, it came back for like a subtle round 2. So for me, it was like 2 weeks. But then it was over. And if that had just been all that it was, it's like, okay, I've had the flu and I've been sick, I've had worse things happen to me than that. And if that had been all it was, and it wasn't turned into this major, massive thing that it was on the grand scale, by, media and all the other things, they were just completely turned into this whole massive thing that it just didn't need to be. And I'm not saying that it wasn't, a big deal. I'm not saying that people didn't die from it, but people die all the time. People get sick and die. I mean, death is happening all the time. for lots of different reasons. And that's, but we don't make big deals about those things. It's like we were programmed to make a big deal about something that didn't have to be as big of a deal as it was, but that energy was allowed. And so my point is that the energy that we're going to go through collectively, there's a destructive element to it, because essentially, it's like you can think about it like a divine intervention. It's like the most gracious thing that the divine could do is essentially purify the water, is the best way I could say it. Is to just say, okay, look, it's like, every so often it's good for you to go in and get a checkup. Maybe do a detox, maybe fast, or for people who you go and get your flu shot or whatever it is that you do, right? Like, it's good, to go to the dentist, there's good to do hygiene thing. It's good to take a shower, right? At least, I don't know. I would hope at least once a day, but if you don't take a shower once a day, maybe it's at least good to take a shower every other day. And if not, it's probably good to take a shower at least 3 times a week, whatever that looks like for you. But that's called hygiene. It's good to brush your teeth at night. And so with the energy that's here, because things have gotten so imbalanced, the energy has gotten so distorted over the last 9-year cycles and even cycles before that, it's basically time for us, for the collective of mankind to go to the dentist. So this is essentially this year, again, just to kind of give it a metaphor, that's what's happening. The divine is essentially, we're going to the dentist whether we want to or not. And all the plaque, all the grossness that we've collected energetically is going to be removed. And so again, we can either participate in removing the junk from our lives ourselves, which is going to be a lot less intense, and it's actually going to be less painful and less abrupt and less, critical, I guess. Or we can do nothing. And if we do nothing, then the divine is going to step in and do it for us, which is not going to go well, essentially. It's going to produce an effect, but it's like, which side of the coin would you prefer to be on? And so that's what this destruction energy is basically saying. It's a heads up saying, like, hey guys, especially when it comes to relationships and love, if you're not aware of the toxicity of your patterns, what you're attracted to, what you're involved in, the kinds of things that you've been tolerating, the kinds of things you've been involved in, the way that you've shown up, the toxicity that you brought to the table, the toxicity that you allowed, all that stuff is going to be dealt with one way or the other. And so you can, essentially the divine is saying you can deal with it now, because that's what the synchronicities is here for. The divine is basically trying to get our attention, saying, hey, I'm trying to give you a heads up that, first of all, the reason that things that things are stuck and things are not they're not moving the direction you need them to go, that they're on pause, is because there's a cleansing that needs to happen. And that's why the illumination card is here. The illumination is the message. This is the illumination. This is the divine, finding people like me and other people out there to send the message to the masses and say, okay, if you're not understanding the message with the synchronicity card here, then let's just speak directly through somebody in a way that you can understand. And so this is quite literally the direct message from the divine to you, saying, hey, when it comes to relationships, it comes to toxic energy, it comes to where you've been stuck and what's not been working in your life, if you don't take control of this and you don't change yourself, and take 100% responsibility for your life, whether you've done something, haven't done something. It's not about that. It's just about us changing our energy. It's about us becoming aware of what's no longer serving us and purging those old patterns, purging that old energy, and releasing stuff that doesn't, and when I say releasing stuff, I'm not just talking about people. I'm talking about ways of thinking. I'm talking about our own patterns, our own behavior, releasing things from the past, purging ourselves of all that stuff, all of it, and setting ourselves up for, to kind of have a clean slate, which is why this recovery card is underneath there. That's the recovery energy underneath this conflict card is what that's about. It's us recovering our energy, recovering our purity. It's the clean slate, right? That's what this energy is, what this card is showing here. This is us being healed, whole, and healthy, and ready to receive new life, new water, new relationships, new energy, new health, new abundance, new downloads, new creativity, uh, everything, right? All of it. But in this case, specifically, we're just talking about love and relationships, right? So what else does the divine want us to know? And one of the things, just to show you one more, because I noticed this, I'll set this card here, and then this one underneath this, we have the past. So most of this is stuff that for, most of it is stuff that's still lingering from our past, as it typically always is. It's not typically future stuff that needs to be purged and let go of. It's typically stuff from our past that we're still holding on to, or stuff from our past that we haven't resolved, or we haven't healed, or we haven't forgiven, right? And so that's got to come to an end, because there's no future in the past. The past, the past. But, you know, it's just part of our human nature to cling to what we've known, versus the unknown. And that's just part of human psychology. Our brain will do everything in its power to cling to what it knows versus trying to figure out or embrace the unknown. And that's why so many people stay stuck in the past. They stay stuck in their comfort zone. They don't take risks in life because uncertainty or stepping outside of our comfort zone is unnatural, uh, for the average human being. Some people, they have the gift and they're wired, and that's their superpower. Some people, they're daredevils. They're risk takers. They're wired differently than the vast majority of people. But I think the majority of people, probably 90% of the population, is not wired that way. Could be even less than 90%. Or I'm sorry, right? More than 90%, rather. So we have time to rise that just came out, and then we have life's a juggle. So it's like a two of pentacles thing. Life's a balance. Finding the balance, balancing our energy, and figuring out what it is that we really want. What else do we have? We have the key to wisdom and leap of fortune. Then at the bottom of this deck, we have, uh, things are not so black and cool looking card. And really, actually, I just get one more to fill in the gap here. He wants to. So what's you? Maybe he doesn't want to give me one more. Hey, no, he does. All right. Balance your energy. Yes. So the balance your energy, and then the life's a juggle. That's tied to that. So it's just a repeat message for that card. So we have time to rise. So this is really about, again, illumination and seeing the big picture here. Like, for those who really lean in this year, and you mean it, like, if you want change, the divine is saying, look, if you really want your life to be different, if you're just sick and tired of the same old, you're sick and tired of going to sleep at night wondering, is this all there is? Or just going through another year. I mean, it's already March, right? It's about to be mid-March, and it seems like we're already like 2025 is already flying by. Time is going really quick. It's like, if you really, really, really want a changed life, and what do I mean by that? Change is different. A changed life could mean many different things to many different people. What do you want? Do you want love? Do you want money? Do you just want fulfillment? Do you want to feel passion? Do you want to feel inspired? Do you want a purpose in life? Feel like your life has a meaning and a purpose? You just want more stuff? Like, what do you want? And so the key to fulfillment is it's never the thing itself. That's the illusion. The key to fulfillment is finding fulfillment within ourselves first, and then realizing what's possible outside of us as a result of tapping into the divine power within us. But we're not taught that. We're taught backwards in culture. That's what the Matrix teaches us. The Matrix teaches us that your fulfillment is outside of you. Love is outside of you. Money is outside of you. Success is outside of you. Fulfillment, significance, all that stuff is outside of you. You have to go find it and you have to go get it. Acquire, obtain it, whatever. And it's backwards. So the time to rise here is a call for those who are willing to take a different path in life, to take different actions, to believe a different way, to adopt a different paradigm. That's what this is called. This card is the energy of this card is saying, essentially the message, rather. And so for those that are willing to rise to the occasion and answer the call on your life, then all things are possible and all things can be yours. Because the divine is literally waiting to work on the behalf of those who want to do the work. Meaning, it's not a matter of if you'll get those things, it's just a matter of when, based on your level of participation with the divine to acquire them. So if you want all the things, you can have all the things, but you have to be willing to participate with the divine and go through the proper process to have all the things. That's what this card is here to say. Now, the next card, Life's a Joel, is about the realization that there's decisions to make. You can have the life that you have, or you can have the life that you want. Which one do you want? That's what this card is saying. And if you want if you want the life that you have, there's no problem with that. Because we all get what we tolerate. If you want the life that you have, it's yours for the taking. But if you want the life that you want, then you have to do something different. Otherwise, the life that you want is just a fantasy, it's just a dream, it's just an idea, it's just, it's fantasy. It's just some illusory vision in your mind about something that you wish you could have, that you actually could have, but because you're choosing the life that you have, not the life that you want, you won't participate to go get it. Or you're not willing to participate. You're not willing to make the change. You're not willing to do, to take the steps and starting going to go down that path. Right. And so, so it's a choice, basically. And so but the divine is here, along with the synchronicity card. The divine is here to say, hey, the choices for everyone's got the same choice this year. And everyone's still going to go through the same filtration process, regardless of these messages down here, by the way. So, what we talked about up here, that's going to happen no matter what. But these messages down here are for those people that are like, well, okay, yeah, I want to get on the bus. I want to answer the call. I want the life that I want, not the life that I have. And so if you choose the new life, then the next card is we have a key to wisdom. And the key to wisdom is essentially the divine. When you partner with the divine and you choose to participate and go on that path, then everything that you need, all the knowledge, the how to, the resources, whatever you need, it will come to you. Right? Like the divine isn't, you know, the divine is very, very generous in assisting us to the extent that it applies to the two non-negotiables that the divine has with all of us, which is the divine will not violate our free will, and the divine will not give us anything that's not in our highest good. So as long as we are using our free will choice to stay aligned to what's in our highest good, then the divine will provide it for us. It's a promise. It's not a theory. It's not an idea. It's a promise. Now, am I going to tell you that it's not that it's easy to live a life of surrender and trust and faith? Because it's not just that the divine is going to provide it for us, in the sense that there aren't going to be times when we're not going to be challenged to take a leap of faith or take a step. Sometimes you will be. Sometimes you're going to be asked to take steps of uncertainty, to believe without seeing, to trust without knowing, to make a decision or to trust your gut and do something when you're like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know where I'm going to get the money. I don't know where I'm going to get the resource. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know where it's going to end up. All the uncertainty. Sometimes that's how the divine works. The divine makes us take a step of faith, a step of trust, blind faith, blind trust. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to do this, and it's very uncomfortable because we don't have the assurance of the outcome that we desire. We're being asked to do something without any assurance. We're just being like, okay, I have no clue what's going to happen when I take this step. I'm just going to trust the divine, and whatever happens, happens. That can be scary for a lot of people. For most people, it is. But the key to wisdom is essentially the divine's promise to us that you will get everything that you need if you choose the path, you follow the path, and you walk in faith, some degree of faith. Not all the time. Sometimes we will be given certainty, but there will be times where we won't. We have to just trust. Which brings us to a leap of fortune, which is essentially like the Wheel of Fortune card. And so if we do trust and we take the action and we rely upon and we utilize the information and knowledge that we're given, then we will be blessed with the fortune of our desires, whatever that is. What our heart's desire, essentially, is so we'll get the thing that we're longing for. That's the promise here with the Leap of Fortune card. So then over here we have balance your energy and not so black and white. So this, again, the balancing energy part is essentially understanding everything that I said before about every one of us having to go through this filtration process and not resisting it any longer, not putting it off any longer, not delaying it any longer, not letting life distract us so much to where we're just like zombies waking up going. And I catch myself doing this. Again, I'm guilty of this myself. I catch myself like, man, geez, man, like it was just Monday and it was Tuesday. Now we're Wednesday, and technically it's Thursday now because I'm filming this late at night. So now, I started filming on the 5th, and now it's the 6th. And so it's like, man, it's just this week is just a blur. And so it takes me more conscious effort to go, wait, I need to be intentional about what I'm doing, not just existing. Like, oh my God, time goes by, and then you wake up, the next go goes, and the next go goes by, right? And then actually, weeks and months have gone by, and you're like, holy crap, where's my life going? Where's my time going? What am I doing? Right? And so there's a level of focus and intention that we need to have when in regards to this and balancing our energy right now, and being intentional of, especially during this year, during this time. And so the not so black and white is also about the expansion of our mind, because the world isn't so black and white. What our opinions are, what our beliefs are, what we think, our way of viewing the world, our perception. It's like the divine is saying, hey, look, this purge of energy, that I've been talking about is about raising the level of consciousness of humanity, meaning we've been stuck. All of us have been stuck collectively in the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same ideals, the same politics, the same religions, the same way of thinking for too long, right? Or as the Joker said in the old Batman movie from the 90s, which I think is the best Batman movie, he said, "This town needs an enema." And that's what essentially is like our brains. Humanity needs an enema. And that's what this universal 9 year is. This is the enema. Like we're, you know, there's the level of thinking of humanity is so outdated. We've been doing the same things, believing the same things, acting the same ways, same religion, same politics, same wars, same suffering. It's like humanity's just been stuck in the same place for a little too long. And so now our level of consciousness needs to go up to the next level. And that's what this essentially is saying. We need to expand the way that we think, our views, our beliefs, the way that we relate to each other, the way that we relate to differences, that the ways of thinking and acting and believing and behaving and experiencing life and existing in life that are different than ours, views that are different than ours, all of that. It's essentially another word for this card could just be coexisting. That's really what this card is talking about. We need to learn how to play nicer together. We need to learn how to coexist better. We need to up-level our thinking again from, the level of greed, materialism, celebrityism, all the bullshit that we've been stuck in at this, the last couple of generations. Making money and materialism and wealth and the bullshit idea of success and celebrityism and all this stuff. The more money in your bank account, the more, makeup, the more plastic surgery, the more six packs you have, the more cars and houses, the more stuff that you have, then, the more successful you are. The greed, the entitlement, all that crap, right? All that stuff has to go. All the religious bullshit, all the religious wars and religious stuff, all the political differences and all the political bullshit, all that stuff has got to change. Humanity entirely, not just here in our country, it's a global, it's a human problem. So it's not just one person, it's not just one country, it's not one group of people, it's not one type of politics or political group, it's not one type of religion, it's everything. Just the humanity as a whole. All of it needs to be, changed. That's what this card is saying. And that's what this year is essentially the beginning. This year is the beginning of an enema, of humanity. Humanity's getting an enema. And it's like, all right, the divine's coming in and it's cleaning house to make room or an opportunity for growth and expansion for those who are on board with it. Now, those who resist the growth and the expansion and want to cling to the old ways that we've been doing things, they want to cling to the old human paradigm, it's going to be a really, 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 really bad experience for them. It's going to be really bad. And those people are going to suffer, unfortunately. But it's self-imposed suffering because it's just very simple. It's like you can go with the flow and you can go with the change and you'll be a happy camper like those who do go with the flow, and life will be amazing for you and it's going to work out great for you. Or you can resist it and your life's going to get blown up. You're going to be kind of forced to go with the flow. So essentially, everybody's going to be forced to get on board with what the divine is doing, whether they want to or not. It's just a matter, are you going to be the rebel? Are you going to try to resist the change? Or are you willing to go with the flow and not have to go through all the crap? But then, the double blessing is you have an opportunity to actually transform your life and even go beyond, above and beyond just going with the flow. You could be, you can just make the decision now and you can fast track. It's like having the VIP pass at Disney World. You get to skip the line skip, right? And you can do it as many times as you want, and you're going to get all the blessings, all the things. It's like, that's really, that's one of the options that's on the table for those who choose it. And there's no downsides. There's literally no downsides to choosing this path, because I mean, it's way better probably than the life that you've been living. It's definitely, it's an upgrade. There's no downside to it. So, you know, and that's the beauty of it, because the divine doesn't, come to the table with a shitty contract, or like a shady negotiation or something, right? Like, okay, well, you can have this or you can have that, and this is going to be a little bit better, but the thing that you have, it's not, no, it's always better. It's always better than anything that you or I already have going on. So it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense to not answer the call. There's no reason to choose this. It just would be like insanity. It'd be like somebody saying, "Here's a free lottery ticket," and you're like, "Well, what's the downside?" It's like, there's no downside. You just won the lottery, right? And they're like, "I don't think I want that." Like, that just doesn't make any sense, right? So, what else does the divine want to say? I understand that this is like a big picture. This is a big picture idea here, and I will be doing more readings, obviously, to get into like the more uh, nitty gritty of things, right? New love, all that kind of stuff. Like looking at specific situations. This is more like the 50,000 foot view, right? Like we can't put the cart before the horse. That's not how the divine works. The divine's like, you know, we need to know what changes we need to make, because that's more important than just coming out here to YouTube land doing readings like every other tarot channel and just wanting to know something that isn't going to change anything by you knowing it. Because, let's face it, how many tarot videos have you watched, and the thing that you've watched has actually happened or come true for you? And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen for anybody, but you can do your own assessment. Just read the comments. The comments are the best. The comments and the views. You go to some of the largest. It doesn't matter. Any tarot channel that you have that has over 1,000 subscribers, or some that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Look at a video that they posted recently that you've watched. Look at the numbers of views, how many people viewed it, and then go into the comments, right? The comments are usually going to be like 1% or less of the views. Not obviously, people just don't comment. They watch. Most people don't comment. So of the number of people that viewed it, you're looking at the comments. Within the comments, how many people within that commented are, like, hey, actually, that reading actually came true. What, 0.00001% maybe of people? And so when you're looking at the number of people, when you're looking at the subscribers, the full number of subscribers, and then you compare the subscriber count to the view count, and then you compare the view count to the comment count, and then you compare the actual people in the comments who are saying, yeah, hey, this reading came true for me, right? It's very, 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 very tiny. It's essentially basically you're in the realm of like the odds of winning the lottery. Actually, probably a little bit better than the lottery. The lottery is pretty extreme, but it's not much better. And so that's why people, they binge watch readings again and again and again and again and again, and they don't see anything changing. Because, there might be one or two people out of thousands where that situation might actually play out. And you could spend the rest of your life watching videos that are the same. And let's talk about that for just a quick second. How many of these readings are actually really unique? When I say unique, I mean unique. You know, how many different ways can you do a reading on the same thing? Like a past person coming back. Past person's coming back. Past person's come back. Or, you know, maybe rarely, depending on the channel, maybe there's like a new person, you know. Oh, well, you may have this new person coming towards you. You know, 90% of it, 95% is like a past person, because that's where, again, humans, we focus on the past more than the future. Then you have a few outliers that are pulling a new love thing here or there. Then you have a few that do other random things, you know, like career and business and all that. But even that, how many people are actually getting a result? And the reason that tarot these tarot channels are successful is not because people are actually seeing results. Because if they were seeing results, they wouldn't be watching those videos anymore. So it's, you know, what does that tell you? That tells you that the reason that tarot channels are blowing up is because people are watching the videos because they want to know something. They wouldn't be watching it if the person that the tarot reader was doing the reading about had come into their life. You wouldn't care anymore. You'd be too happy. You'd be too busy, you know, being with your partner in your relationship, living your life, right? I mean, is that not how it works? I know I would be. I mean, you know, if I found somebody, it's like I wouldn't be watching a reading. I mean, I really don't watch a whole lot of readings anymore anyway. But my point is if you're wanting a love relationship, I'm just using this example, and you're watching tarot readings because you want to find out if, you know, when someone's going to come into your life, when is love going to happen for me? But when that person came into your life, are you going to be watching love readings about when someone's coming into your life? It's like, no, because the person's here. You got the person. You're not going to watch it anymore. So if all these thousands of people that were watching tarot readings had actually got or actually seeing a result, meaning the thing that the tarot reader said is coming true for them, then they wouldn't be watching the readings anymore. So that's just, you know, something to consider when you're watching tarot readings. It's like the fact that the fact that you're not seeing a result is what's making that person's tarot channel grow. If you get the result, then chances are you no longer have a need for that channel anymore. Right? So if a bunch of thousands of people were getting results, then they wouldn't be watching that person's content anymore. That person's channel wouldn't be growing. It's the fact that you're not getting the result that you go to watch the reading. And that's why these people come out and create channels, because there's a market for it. There's a need. You want to know. They're going to give you a reading, but nothing's going to change. So you're going to come back and you're going to get a reading again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And so I'm just making a distinction about that because I don't see any benefit in it. And it just takes a moment to step out of it, because when you're in it, because I was in it for a few years before I started actually reading, I got on the addictive terror cycle of, you know, binge listening to readings again and again and again and again. And then when I finally got outside of the bubble, I was like, holy shit, wait a minute. This makes no sense. You know, I'm just basically, you know, breadcrumbing myself, because every time I get on there, it's like I'm getting these little hits of like hope. The tarot reader is basically just selling me crumbs of hope, and it's not them. And I'm not saying that these people are doing anything wrong or malicious. They're genuinely just trying to give messages. But what I realized in it is that we breadcrumb ourselves, because we're dangling the carrot. It's like, oh, I want hope. I want to know that love is coming from. So you go watch another reading. Then the next day, you go watch another reading, and then you go watch another reading, or maybe you watch multiple readings, you know, because you want to keep that hope alive. You want to keep believing that it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, but it never comes. So you keep going back and watching the readings to keep your hope alive that it's still coming, even though it hasn't come. So, you know, what's more beneficial is for us to figure out what we can do to actually get the thing that we want. And that's why, you know, that's why I do readings the way that I do on my channel now. And that's what the divine wants. The divine wants you guys to get the things, not to just hear about the things or watch videos about the things or watch predictions about the things. The divine actually wants you to have a fulfilled life. Get the money, get the, get the love, but obviously for the reasons that I mentioned earlier here in this reading, in terms of like, yeah, fulfillment is the purpose of life, so much as we're still evolving and we're growing as human beings, and we're not staying in the same stagnant place. Meaning, as the divine wants to move us to a new way of thinking, a new way of existing, a new level of consciousness, all of our desires and fulfillment go with us. So we just get to experience abundance at a different level, a higher level, a better level than we were down here before. That's what that's saying. But the divine still wants us to have those blessings. The divine still wants you to have money and health and love, all of it. The divine wants you to have all of it. But just having it at a new level, a new paradigm, a new way of coexisting with humanity, right? But in order for us to get any of these things, we have to be willing to participate, and not, listening to tarot readings is just it's not going to change anything. It'll keep you in the cycle, the carousel of hope, running on the rat wheel. Like, it's going to keep you hopeful, keep you hopeful, keep you hopeful. I mean, eventually you'll probably get burned out. I think some people do. It's like, man, I can't watch any more tarot readings anymore because nothing's happening, nothing's changing. Right? And that's because we're not changing. And that's what needs to change. Lots of change, right? Lots of changes being thrown around here. So, interesting, we have frog here. I'm just noticing we have this card, the frog here, and we have frogs here. Something about frogs, I don't know. And maybe something that's relevant for some people out there. Maybe frogs mean something to somebody out there. I don't know. Maybe some of you have kissed a few frogs and they didn't turn into princes, right? Maybe that's something that just came to mind. So let's read this. Let me read this card here. Now, you can't make this up. I just went on this big rant just now, and I've been talking this whole time about this. I have not been looking at these cards. I did not know what this card says. Okay, and this deck, by the way, that I got in my hand is relatively new. I got it like a month ago, and I've used it a few times. I haven't looked at every single card. I don't do that when I buy my decks, by the way. When I get a deck, I don't go through and look at all the cards. I shuffle it and I use it, and if a card that I have never seen before comes out, I'm just as surprised. I'm like, okay, cool, because I don't sit and flip through them all. I don't read the book. I don't do any of that. I just shuffle the cards and I just let whatever comes out come out. And if I need to use the book, I'll flip to that specific description of that specific card. But most of the time, I just go off of my intuitive nudges, like I'm doing right now. So my point is, in saying that, is that I did not know that this card says what it says, but this is what it says: cleaning house and releasing emotional baggage, which is literally everything that I've said this entire reading. This is the enema card. I don't know why it has to do with the frog, but here it is. I'm going to try to get it close to the camera. This is a new camera, by the way, so you can see what it says up there. So actually, both of these cameras that I'm using are brand new, so I made a little bit of an upgrade. Hopefully, the audio is syncing up this time. They're a little bit step up from what I was using before, but I'm not sure that the computer I'm using can handle it. So I'm having to use them a little bit to find out if I'm going to have to upgrade something else to handle the cameras, because obviously running in 4K or trying to run in 4K is very taxing for a computer that's not meant to run 4K. So I don't know. But that's the whole cycle. So let's go to the next one. We have birth and rebirth, which is exactly what the 9 universal year is all about. the ending of a cycle, which is the death, and then moving towards the birth or the rebirth of something, right? So there's no keywords on this card specifically. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is just like the death card, essentially. Birth and rebirth. So birth is something brand new. A rebirth is something that was changed to a different form. So it's not necessarily something brand new, meaning like it's repurposed or refurbished would be kind of like a thing, right? So you take a couch, it's old, and you give it a makeover, you refurbish the couch and you turn it into something beautiful. Well, it transformed. It's like a rebirth of something that was old that has now been transformed into something new. So for some people, you're going to undergo the rebirth, like a phoenix, the phoenix rising from the ashes. For other people, you're just going to go to something completely new, which is just a birth. Because a birth is something absolutely brand new that's never been done before. It's completely new. Whereas a rebirth is a transformation of something that's already existing. Okay. Now, the next card that we have is fear. And it's pretty self-explanatory for this one as well. There's no keywords on that. It's just fear, right? Anything that's preventing you from making a change in your life, anything that's preventing you from upgrading your thinking or getting on board with everything that's been saying it. Any type of fear of change, fear of lack, fear of scarcity, fear of being alone, any type of fear, whatever's been holding you back in life and keeping you in this stuck energy, that needs to be addressed. It needs to be looked at. It can't be ignored anymore. Because if you try to ignore it in this energy, again, the divine's going to force you to look at it this year one way or the other. So it's going to be a lot easier if you just face it yourself than having it forced upon you, right? That's essentially the thing. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the goblin. And this is the wounded human ego. That actually does have a keyword. The wounded human ego. It's very interesting. And so that's all the result of pain, pride, resentment, bitterness, anger, fear, scarcity, all the stuff. I'm not good enough, right? Or I'm always right. You're always wrong. They're a narcissist. All the stuff that's touched to the human ego is right here. That's represented all in that one card. Again, these are the things that the divine are going to deal with this one, whether we like it or not. Now, interestingly, underneath that, we have this card. It's just it says protection, and so protection again is for those who are, again, they choose. When you choose the divine, you get a divine insurance plan. That's just how it works. And I've seen this and experienced it firsthand in my own life. I know what it's like to be on both sides of it, by the way. When I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm trusting the divine, I'm on my path, I get the spiritual protection. And it's actually quite incredible. Because I've seen people who've done me wrong, and I've not wished anything on anybody. Just like, hey, hurt people. I get it. Sucks that I got hurt, but hey, you know what? I forgive, and I'm going to go just move on with my life. But the divine's like, that's good. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But I'm going to go deal with that person who hurt you. It's called karma, right? And I've watched people who've done me wrong get their karma, and I'm just like, man, wow. And the divine has always protected me in the sense that, if anybody was ever doing me wrong or trying to take advantage of me or betray me, the truth always came to light. Hands down. In the times of my life when I was struggling financially or I was struggling with something and I was desperate, I needed the divine. The divine had my back. Like the saying, the universe has your back. And it's been proven to me again and again and again and again. I don't even question that anymore. But conversely, when I got stepped out of line and I did something bad or I messed up with somebody, the divine equally came and gave me a spanking. So I've been on both sides before. I know what it's like to be protected, and I also know what it's like to be the one who gets the spanking. And maybe even spanked a little harder than other people because I have a responsibility. And so when you have that call in your life and you answer the call, that comes with a responsibility. The responsibility is, hey, you're you know you're a representative of the divine now, and the divine has standards and expectations for me to not use my power for bad or evil or just even ego, right? And so I've learned my lesson. It's like, hey, dude, from now on, all any kind of poor behavior. I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect the rest of my life, but for the most part, I do all that I can to stay on the divine's good side, so to speak. But when I say that, I'm saying that karma. Okay, again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking about there's this force that's like a human who makes human types of judgments of like, okay, you get punished and you get blessed. It's not like that. That's more like religious shit, right? Like a sky god, a sky daddy kind of thing, who's like, or Santa Claus. He knows who's been good and bad and all that. He sees all your stuff, and he knows who's been naughty and nice. All of that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying karma. You know, there is a thing to this: divine protection or without protection. So some of you are going to have the divine insurance plan if you lean into it. Now, I'm going to pull just a few last cards. Um, Let me get, I'm gonna get a few surrender cards, maybe one or two surrender cards. What we need to know, Divine wants us to know collectively. And what do we need to let go of? What do we need to surrender specifically? Some of the major things. Of course, what's specific for us in our lives is going to be different. So obviously, like if you've got a personal reading, what might come out specifically for you might be a little bit different. Okay. So we're just going to go through these really quick. I'm just going to read them because they're pretty self-explanatory. So surrender to effortlessness. Stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. See? Again, you can't make that up. My whole analogy about going with the flow and not trying to swim against the current just came out again, right? That's what the effortlessness is. In other words, the divine is saying, yeah, do what he said. Go with the flow, go with the current of the river. Don't resist. And over here at the bottom of the deck, surrender to creativity says, let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream and solve a problem. And this is tied to this row of cards here that we talked about. Those who time to rise, answer the call. You're going to get the key to wisdom, what I talked about. You're going to get the ideas, the inspiration, everything you need to know about how to move forward to get the things you want. Surrender to stubbornness, going back to the wounded human ego and fear. If you're tensing up or taking a rigid stance about something, gently observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with others and yourself. And then we have surrender to receiving support and love. Yeah, some of you are, and I understand because I know what it's like to be a giver, and it's hard for me to receive. So this definitely applies to me. Allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. In other words, because you've been hurt and you've been let down, you've been disappointed, you bought into maybe being hyper independent, which is a trauma response. And this is saying, well, your spiritual calling is always going to involve helping people. So, but it also means receiving as well as giving. So even if you're out serving and you're giving and you're doing nice things for people, you also need to let nice people do things for you. You need to be able to receive as well. Because it's not just receiving from other people. It's deeper than that. It's you having your heart center open so that you can receive from the divine, right? Because not wanting to receive is just the symptom of a greater problem. You've got to fix the root problem. Because if you're not receiving from other people, then you're probably not receiving from the divine either. You just don't know. And this says this can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. Yeah. Because we need to be in a place. Being in a place of service also means allowing other people to bless us and learn how to do what they're supposed to do. Because sometimes we're meant to be in their life for them to have an opportunity to kind of practice their gift and their talents, right? And so when you allow someone to serve you, a lot of times what you don't realize is you're helping that person learn, evolve, and grow in a place that's safe, because you would hopefully be a safe person, and that's how people learn. That's just one example. Right. And then lastly, I want to get just some final advice here. I'm just going to pull 3 of these oracle cards here, and then we'll close out the reading. All right. What's the final advice for the collective in regards to this? What else do they need to know? The big picture here. And remember, guys, I know this is like I'm this is kind of like a big picture reading here. Because I don't know. I was struggling to, when I sat down. I was like, I don't really know. I mean, I just did a twin flame reading, but then I was like, I don't really know what to do a reading on. And so I was like, I'm just going to let the divine just say whatever it wants to say, because I can't really. Nothing was really calling my name. It was like I didn't really feel like it needed to be a love reading or a career. I just, I wasn't being drawn to one specific thing. All right. So the first card out is we have Observer. And this is really about understanding. This is about you taking inventory and really, really, really observing the reality of your life. Going back to what I said with the Juggle card, you can have the life that you have, or you can have the life that you want. And being an observer means getting out of denial and actually getting real about your life for what it really is, and getting real about what you really want, and then getting real about what you're willing to actually do to make the changes necessary to go in that direction and move toward it. And doing so for your own free will, and not per your own free will, but not having to go through not having to have the enema, basically, that the divine is going to serve. Then we have Poised. So yeah, this is about, again, being favored. This is like the star card energy. Essentially, it's like the divine. This is just, again, more reassurance that for those of you that take this seriously, and you don't just listen to this and you just turn it off and forget about what this is. You listen to the message and you actually lean into it, and you choose that direction in life. You're going to be blessed. You're going to get favor. You're going to get the divine insurance plan. Your life is going to be radically different than if you don't do anything, or God forbid, you continue to do things that are definitely toxic or bad, which some people will. Some people are going to continue to be in their ego, in this conflicted energy, and they're going to get hit the worst. The people who are just like, they're selfish and they don't care. Basically, they're just out doing, low vibrational things, and they don't care. They're completely unawake. They're completely unaware. They're the ones who are going to get hit the hardest. And then not for you. Yeah. So this is confirmation, again, for some of you, about the toxic and destructive relationships. So we started out this reading kind of, talking about relationships. Now we're kind of ending it. The divine is saying, look, there are people and situations and circumstances in your life, and especially relationships, that you're still holding on to, you're still attached to, you're still waiting for, you're still longing for, you're still listening to tarot readings for, you still have the energy of that person still attached to you, and the divine is saying, it's not for you. The answer is no. Now, if you want to hold on to it, despite the fact that the divine is literally just giving you the answer, crystal clear, you're allowed to do that. Because again, the divine's not going to violate your free will. If you want to hold on to Mr. or Mrs. Toxic person, you have 100% right to do so. The divine is not going to interfere with your free will to hold on to that person. However, just remember, when the enema comes, there's going to be a not fun effect, and I don't want to say a price to pay, but it's kind of like, yeah, there's going to be a consequence, energetic of having to go through, that energy basically being, taken away from you, regardless of, and I know that might sound like a contradiction. You're like, well, didn't you just say the divine's not going to violate your free will? It's like, well, the divine isn't going to violate your free will. It doesn't mean that the divine isn't going to change the circumstances of this situation in a way to where, whether you hold on to that person or whether you don't hold on to that person, that situation is dead and gone. You'll never get it back. And so you holding on to something that the divine takes away from you forever, that's just self-imposed misery, because now you're just holding on to something and you're never going to get it, because the divine is shutting that door. The divine is clearing out that energy, and it's just never, it's done is done is done. And so, holding on to something is just you perpetuating your own misery and suffering for no reason, because you're refusing to let go of something that's long gone, basically. And that's, don't shoot the messenger for me just being honest and direct about that. Okay. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have yin, which is feminine energy. This is about, again, receiving. Yin, feminine energy is about receiving. Masculine energy is about doing, taking action. So receiving love and support, receiving the blessings. Okay. So again, going with the flow. And I can't stress this enough. For as intense and as dramatic as the energy of this year will be for some people, for those who answer the call and align with the divine, again, like I said, this year will be one of the best years of your life. Meaning, it doesn't have to be intense or crazy or bad or struggle for you. You don't have to be in that group of people. You can be on the lazy river, drinking your margarita and just, watching the blessings come in, floating down the lazy river with drinking your margarita and enjoying the sunshine. Like literally taking down the river, drifting right to your blessings. And I'm not saying that, again, there's not some degree of participation that, work and effort and doing something. We can't just literally sit and do nothing and we're just going to, it's all just going to be thrown into our lap. That's not what I'm saying. But metaphorically speaking, compared to the other group of people that are basically going to be going through an energetic apocalypse, you don't have to be in that group. You can be in the carefree group where it's like, man, this is the group I want to be in. I don't want to be in the other group of people who are going to have to go through an energetic apocalyptic enema, right? You don't want to be in that group. So, so this is what I have for you guys. I know this is kind of random. Again, it's off the cuff. But it's what the divine wants to talk about, at least tonight. And these are like the reminders that we may have to, that we may need. I don't choose what comes through. I'm just the messenger. So again, this is just as applicable to me and all human beings. So, I have to take the same messages that you guys have to take and apply it to my life and go, okay, well, is it necessarily what I want to hear? Is it necessarily the things that I would like to hear about from it's like, no, it's not what I necessarily want to hear or the things that I would want the divine to talk to me about if it were a personal reading or whatever, but it's what I need to hear. That's the difference. And so, when I, in this reading, I'm going to reflect on this myself and go, okay, I needed to be consciously aware and take inventory of my own life. And so where am I in this? For sure. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. All the other information is in the description box below. And as always, my friends,
I'm not a bloody psychic.